Hey there, it's Kim Hinton again. Welcome back. And this time you're watching part four of a four-part series of how to make Google Slides interactive. For this fourth part, we will be looking at how to make a board game activity in Google Slides. So here, I first want to share with you the game board completely made, and you will see that everything in the background is stationary. It cannot be moved. The Bitmojis can't be moved. This discard pile can't be moved. And if you've watched the other videos, you probably already know how to create an image and save that as a background to help you make activities where there are pieces that do not move. But in this activity, there are several moving pieces. So for example, if you're playing this game online with a student, there will be several parts that are interactive, such as the pieces and that the game tokens they can use to move around the game board. If you're using Zoom to have live synchronous lessons with students, you can give the remote control of your mouse to the students during a Zoom session, and then they can move their own pieces. It doesn't work on every type of device, so you need to make sure you know what kind of devices that your students are using and if you'll be able to hand remote access to your mouse off to those students. So just surveying them and finding out what kind of device they are using is something you'll need to know in the beginning. If they don't have a device where you can give access to your mouse to, then the student could just tell you, hey, please roll the dice for me, and please move my marker 3 places. And then when it's time for them to answer the questions, they can do that part on their own. The next piece that's interactive of this game is this dice. And it is just a video from YouTube, and you can add the video to your presentation slide. So you click it to make it start playing, you click it again to pause it, and so it's like I rolled a 3. But again, it's just a video from YouTube, and I'll show you how to add that to your slide in just a second. Finally, just like before, if you've watched the episode 3 and 3.5, I used a lot of task cards to be part of the activities, and this one is similar. So these are task cards that I have that I've created screenshots of, and then I will use these cards as the cards the students will answer to be able to move around the game board. All right, so let's get started and look at how to get a game board set up for your students. So the first thing you want to do is start with a blank slide. And on my game board, I created it with just a pink background. So maybe you can choose your favorite color for your background and set that however you would like. And then to create the spaces for the board game, again, like on so many other of the tutorials, went to shape, and then I created the size box that I wanted to use as a game board space, and I formatted that shape to be the color that I wanted it to be. Once I have it, the space looking the way that I want it, and I just hit Command and D and duplicate this space several times. And then I move those spaces to make a game board layout. Another tip here, in case you don't want to spend time creating the whole game board on your own, you could also go into Images in Google and search for game boards, and several blank game boards will pop up, and you could use something that you find online as well. So again, that's that's really all there is to setting up the path that the game board takes, is just moving the pieces around, fitting them how you want them. So it makes a game board like you would play in real life. So let's again take a look at the one I started working on. And so it's more complete. So after I have the game board all set up, the path is all set the way I want it, I think it's fun just to add in either Bitmoji or some kind of icon, some kind of images. If you are learning about Greek mythology, maybe you want to put some little, like maybe a little Zeus right here or a little Hercules, just something that goes along with the theme. Then to get the words in here, all of these again are just shapes, and you can type right into a shape. So I chose the font that I wanted to use, the size, and since it's a black background, I'm writing with white text. And just like you would see on a regular game board, I had a start, place, lose a turn, roll again, all of those different places that you would see on a typical game board. And then down here, I created a text box so I could give some directions to the students when they play this game, and then a discard pile. As I showed you earlier, I created game cards out of task cards that I had, and we'll add those in after we create this as a background. But I wanted to have a discard pile, and this is something that I'm not going to want to ever change or move, so I want to make sure that I included it on here so I could set this as a background image. So what I'm going to do, if you have seen the other videos, you already know how to do this piece, but I'm going to go to File and Download. It's a PNG image. It's going to put it down here on the bottom for me, and I am going to click and drag and save that into my Google Drive. I'm going to create a new slide and choose that image for my background that we just downloaded. I'm going to click on it and click Insert. And so now I have this image that we just created as my new background. And if I try to click on these, nothing will move. Now I need to add those interactive pieces that this game board has. So let's start with these right here, our little game tokens. So to do that, it's again going to the shapes. I found the smiley face shape. You could use any shape you wanted. You could even use images that you find online to use as the shapes for your tokens. I'm just going to use the smiley faces this time and make them the size that I want them. I'm going to duplicate a few depending on how many kids I have in this group, how many kids are going to play this game. So I'm going to say 4, and then I'm just going to format these to make them a different color, something more fun than gray. All right, so that's how you make the game tokens. To make the little video that I had here to roll the dice, all you're going to do is you're going to go to YouTube. You're going to type in roll the dice. And if you use this one right here, this roll a dice, it's a virtual dice that can be used for games in your classroom. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to click on share so I can copy the link to this YouTube video. I'm going to go back to my Google slide, find the one without the video already in it. I'm going to go to Insert, Video, And I'm going to copy, I already copied the link, so I'm going to paste the link in here and hit search. I had searched for it earlier, so it was already in there for me. I'm going to click on the video that I want and click select. It'll show up larger than you want it, of course. And so then you can resize your dice video and move it to where you want. And so now the students have a dice that they can use that's right in the game. There are other dice available, like through Google. If you just type in a Google search dice roller, you can get a set of dice to roll virtually there too. But when you do it, it takes you out of Google Slides and into another browser tab. So for this one, I like it because it's just right here in your game. You don't have to leave the game and go back and forth and switch between tabs. So now the last piece that we need to put in here are our task cards. You can make your own task cards, or if you have some, again, you could take a screenshot of those task cards and use them as the game cards. So I'm going to just add a couple of task cards that I have that are saved on my desktop. So I just click and drag them into my Google slide. I'm going to go ahead and put a border around those just to make them look nice, look the way I want them. And then I'm going to resize them so that they fit on my game board. And I'm going to make sure that they fit on top of each other. And I can't. So when the student's ready to play, they can click the video to roll the dice, move their piece so many places, answer the question. And then once the student answers the question and they have it right, maybe you're playing that they get it right, then they get to move the piece. However you decide to play the game is fine. So once they have it and they get the answer right, then they can click on that game card and put it over in the discard pile. So we know that we've already used that card. And because we stacked our task cards one on top of the other one, a new card pops up on top every time. So I would like to thank you for taking the time to watch this tutorial. And if you've watched all the other videos, I'd also like to thank you for watching those as well. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something new and you're ready to take what you've learned and make some interactive Google Slides for your students. Thanks.